Choose.
There you go. Okay. Welcome, you guys. Firstly, I am using the free version of Zoom. So if our meeting goes over 40 minutes, it is not over. All you have to do is re-click the link and then you can come right back into the same room. Okay. So if like suddenly we all just disappear when we're in the middle, then you'll know that's what happened. The free version kicks you out at like the 40-minute mark. But I will try to make it quick, but I also don't like to rush you guys if you have questions about the dogs. First and foremost, thank you for joining me. I'm glad so many of you were free tonight. I am actually not in Miami right now. So welcome to the dark abyss of North Georgia that is behind me. And if I suddenly look like I've been hit by some sort of insect and I scream, you'll know what happened. So there you go. That's always the risk I run. But I have a 4-year-old who's going to bed right now. So I'm outside where I can make as much noise as I want. Okay, great. So I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Dee. Oh, there's Elizabeth. She's coming in. Let her come in. Here she comes. She's connecting to audio. Awesome. Welcome, Elizabeth. If you can turn on your video, awesome. There she is. Yay. Okay. So I was just about to introduce myself. My name is Dee. I am the founder of Magic City Canine, and I have been a professional dog trainer in the Miami, South Florida community for almost 20 years. So not my first rodeo with dogs. In fact, I've made a very successful career out of it. And as a result, I own the largest privately owned dog training company in the area. And also as a result of my success in training dogs and people and growing an amazing team of professionals who do the same thing, it has allowed, people keep coming, this is great. It has allowed me to be able to kind of come back to dog training as a hobby. I started dog training as a hobby as a little girl in 1987 when I was 5, and I won my first blue ribbon with one of my dogs. And I've never strayed from my passion of training dogs. Although like any hobby that becomes a profession, sometimes you get lost and you go through periods where you hate it because you have to do it every freaking day. But I'm very happy that as time went on, I was able to come back to doing it voluntarily. And that's essentially what Magic City Canine is. So as a result of my successful company, I can focus my time in doing what I love, which is focusing on my inmates, helping them with their own personal growth and professional development as they learn new skills through this program. I have other amazing trainers in the community like Elise, who's on the call tonight. Wave, Elise. If y'all are in gallery view, you can see Elise there, that help support me through not only working with the guys in the prison, but also helping me select dogs as well. And I'm going to talk about our selection process tonight. But essentially, you know, we have a very unique program because it is a prison-based program, which means that all of our dogs who are available for the adoption, for the most part, go through 4 months of intensive training behind bars. So they live 24/7. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Hang on. 1 second. Let me, hang on. I forgot my favorite part of doing Zoom. Oh no, where is it? Oh, it's not here. Just kidding. I have this awesome picture I put up with like my guys and their dogs and the barbed wire in the background, but I guess it's on my other meeting ID, whatever. So, so anyway, essentially the way that the program works is a professional dog trainer like myself or like Elise or like our trainers, Michael, who helps us with our program as well. We go out to the institutions that we work with, and we do have multiple institutions. We donate our time to go out 1 time a week and stay with the inmates on the compound anywhere from, let's say, you know, Elise probably averages like 2 or 3 hours a week with her institution. I typically do a little bit longer, like 5 to 6 hours at my institution because I have more dogs at the one that I'm volunteering at. And we essentially hold, you know, private lessons and group classes with our inmates and their dogs the same way that we would private citizens, right, that are paying for our services. Except that the best part of our job as professional dog trainers running this program is that we have 100% compliance from our inmate clients. And that's something that doesn't exist in the real world. So newsflash, like the reason these dogs get so well trained is because our guys have nothing else better to do with their day than train our freaking dogs for us. So you can imagine they wake up in the morning, like lights on is at like 4:30 a.m. at the prison. So these dogs are used to getting up early. They get up, they're allowed what's called dog walk. They take their dogs out to the track, they exercise, they play, they potty their dogs. They come in and they train. So our dogs essentially get training all day long, every day for the 16 weeks that they're there. and we use their own food to train them. So although we do have access to training treats and stuff like that, it's a prison. We don't have a lot of things because those would be considered contraband. So, we are a positive reinforcement based organization because especially with the population of people that we're working with, it's really important to us that we're teaching them compassion for the animals, patience, and also giving them the skills that they need to really learn how to use their brain to train a dog instead of force or intimidation. And what that produces as far as the inmates who graduate from our programs that then get released and come back out into our community is these guys have a phenomenal new skill of dog training. Many of them have gone on to either work for my company or other companies in the area. But they can really train a dog, and they can train a dog with basically a handful of kibble, and that's it. They don't need a leash. They don't need a collar. They don't need any of that because they have the time that's really needed to devote to these dogs. So our dogs get trained to a pretty high level, assuming that the dog wants to be trained to a high level. And what I mean by that is not every dog that comes into our program is going to have the same motivation and drive for training. So you can have the most amazing dog trainer in my program training the dog in the prison for you. And if that dog isn't super food motivated and isn't self-reinforced by liking to perform tricks, well, then they're going to leave our program with what we call CGC ready, which is just the basics. Sit, down, stay, heeling on a leash, no jumping, waiting at a door, go to your place and lay down. If you were to look up the American Kennel Club CGC certification, all of our dogs meet that requirement. They can all do the basic obedience that you would probably pay for if you were to acquire a dog from a shelter or another organization and then put it through a basic training program, okay? So all of our dogs have that. But then a lot of them, and you will see this on our Facebook page, because I, of course, highlight the ones that are extraordinary. A lot of our dogs have so much more training than that because the dog inherently loves to work and loves the relationship with the handler and wants to train. And those dogs learn up to about like 80 something behaviors in our program. And that's a lot. When you look at your typical pet dog, I mean, we're talking like your dog probably knows how to do 10 things. So my dogs know how to do they know how, Amy's laughing, but it's true. Like, what do you really need your dog in your house to do? Sit, wait, don't jump on me, bring your toy. Like that's 4 things and that's it. That's all you need, right? Wait there, don't jump on me, go potty outside. That's 5 things, right? So for my adopters to acquire a dog that has like 80 skills, you guys are probably never going to utilize the amount of training that these dogs actually have, but that's okay. We're not training these dogs to that level 100% for you. We're training these dogs to that level because if my guys are going to make a career out of this, they got to be able to train a dog and they've got to do it really well. So that's why we really insist that the dogs stay a minimum of 16 weeks. You can imagine that we have different skill levels of trainers that are incarcerated as well. I have some guys that they've been training already for a decade with our program, and they are extraordinary. They could train circles around new trainers that you might hire off the internet to come to your house and train a dog, okay? And then I have trainers who are new. They're apprenticing under other inmates. And so if you were to adopt a dog out of my program, let me just say Champ, for example, just got adopted in this last cycle. He had the basics and maybe 1 trick, and it was great, but that was his inmate's first time training a dog. And so I'm always going to be very transparent about that. Like, oh my God, your trainer is Cortinez. Like that's an A++ level job because he is a seasoned trainer versus Austin, who just trained his first dog, right? So just like any training company, my inmate trainers are no different. So just kind of understand that. So the way that I like adopters to think about our program is you're adopting a dog from us because you love what we do for the inmates, just as much as you love the fact that you might get a trained dog out of it. And what you're paying for in your $350 adoption fee is like no different than any other rescue organization, right? You're paying for the fact that I had to get them vaccinated. They had to have medical care. I had to feed them, blah, blah, blah. Because all the trainers, myself, Elise, Michael, we volunteer our time to do it. So that's what we enjoy doing with our time. And you're not paying for the training. Okay. So I just want to make that clear. The fact that you're going to get these dogs that have training on them, that's an added bonus. But I just need to be clear with you that that should not be the end all be all expectation of why you're going to get a dog out of my program. Okay. Because every dog is going to be trained slightly different and every trainer is going to have a different skill level. Okay. So if you're watching Nala's video on Facebook, that's 1 dog out of 20. Okay. So we have 20 dogs at any given time that go through our program. And although I try to move them in a cycle, meaning I try to get them all adopted out in little groups so that we can move in like 4-month waves, I never get all 20 adopted at the same time. Maybe 15, maybe 16. So there's kind of over this like 3 to 4 dog overlap that kind of lingers. So if you're watching us on Facebook, you'll see that some dogs are still like, I hate to say leftover, but leftover from a previous cycle. Now, the benefit of that is they have more training now. So if you get a dog that's been in the program for 8 months, you can expect a higher level of training than a dog that just finished 4. And Nala and Bentley, who else? Face. I don't know where Elise went. I think she was like cooking dinner or something. I feel like I have one other dog that's left from the spring cycle, which means they came in January and their class graduated in May. And I think I'll look at my list in a second, but I think I have 3 or 4 that have now been in training they're almost coming up on a year. So that's pretty cool. And then what else do I want to tell you? So, and now you'll understand why I have to do a Zoom call and I can't answer all the individual questions, right? So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. So all the dogs we select out of either Miami-Dade Animal Services or Palm Beach County Animal Care and Control, okay? And the criteria for them coming into our program in the first place is that they have to be dog social. I have to have observed them with my own eyes playing off leash in a group of dogs. Now, let me tell you how this goes, despite the fact that I had observed them at the shelter playing off leash in a group of dogs. Sometimes dogs come into the program. Nala is the perfect example of this, and so is Bentley. Sometimes dogs come into the program, and although they were fine in a play group of 15, 20 dogs, whatever, the more they bond with their handler and the more safe and comfortable they feel, the more willing they are to show their true colors. And that's another reason why the dogs have to stay in my program a minimum of 16 weeks, because if we're going to see any red flag behaviors, we're going to see it after 16 weeks. We may not see it the first 2. We may not see it the first 4. I may not even see it the first 6 weeks, because it takes these shelter dogs time to kind of decompress and feel like they're in a safe place, you know, and that in the honeymoon period, they're on their best behavior because they're not trying to get put back in dog jail, right? And that's the irony. They left dog jail. Now they're in actual prison. It's the best one they've ever had, right? They think it's phenomenal. You get a human with you 24/7 that just wants to feed you all day and like attention all the time, right? So it's great for them. So Nala was very stable in play groups. As time has gone on, however, she is very protective of her handler. Not towards people, but towards dogs. And she don't like nobody coming up on her and her handler when she is not in the mood. And with Nala, it's like one day she's like, it's fine today, but now it's Tuesday at 3:00. It's not fine. So Nala is not a dog park dog, but she can have dog friends. She loves to play until she doesn't want to play. So I would not trust her in a dog park with so many uncontrolled variables. But if you had Nala and you had friends with dogs, you could do correct introductions. You could hire a private trainer to help you with that. And she'd be great. She's going to be a great dog for somebody someday. We just haven't found her the right home yet because everyone else already has a dog or has a cat. Cats are off the table for her. So all the dogs have to be observed as dog social leaving the shelter. That's my first criteria. Number 2, I try to target pit bull mixes that are over 50 pounds because they have the hardest time getting out of the shelter. Okay. And you will notice if you follow me long enough that, yeah, Elise is like, yeah. If you follow me long enough, you'll notice I have a soft spot for border collies. So we get the random occasional border collie, whom I love. And I like my shepherd mixes too. So if we can find a good shepherd mix, I throw them in there for some variety. But you know, people say like, do you ever get any hypoallergenic dogs? I'm like, have you read nothing about my program? Like, I'm not saving poodles. Like, I take the pit bulls out of the shelter because no one wants them. And then I put the equivalent of 10 grand of training on them to help make them more adoptable. So no, I don't have a poodle for you. So we'll be clear on that too. So with Miami-Dade Animal Services, we try to target the dogs that have been there the longest. So the shelter will give us a list of dogs that are just getting overlooked. Okay. And sometimes that could be they're getting overlooked because they present as absolute jerks when you walk up to the kennel and they look like they're going to eat you like through the gate, but it's purely frustration because they are losing their mind being in the shelter. You open that latch and let them out and they're like, hello, I love you, you know, but that's going to scare an adopter away like immediately. So sometimes we take dogs like that. So they're what we call kennel reactive, but that's not true aggression. It's purely frustration. And unless you're going to have the dog living in your house behind tempered glass somewhere, you're not really going to see that behavior in a home environment, right? That's a shelter problem, but they don't get adopted because you're walking through the shelter looking for dogs and it looks like it's going to eat you. The opposite is also true. You have a dog who's sitting in the corner growling at people because it's terrified. So many sweet, sweet, sweet dogs are just scared out of their mind. So the shelter will call us and say, please, Dee and Elise, can you come and evaluate this dog because we take him out of the kennel and he's great. Will you consider him for your program? So we'll take dogs like that too. And then my favorite type of dog to take, this is like a Bentley, is just a Looney Tune, like bouncing off the wall, just so damn happy that nobody's going to take him home because he'll just scratch. He would, not now, he would just scratch you to death because he's like, I love you so much. And it's just too much. It's just too much. And you're like, this is why your owner left you here, because you are nuts. And they either couldn't afford training, didn't understand the value of training, whatever, right? So I love dogs like Bentley because they just need training. They're like joyful beyond this world, you know? And with training, they are manageable and lovely, but without training, they're an absolute disaster. So where'd Elise go? She's still there somewhere. By the way, Charlie's, oh, you're eating. Okay. Dogs that are just extra. Yeah, for real. Like they're just extra. They need some help. I need my inmates to scare them straight. So Elise, Charlie's owners, right? Charlie, who nobody wanted, who was like off the wall, nuts in the shelter, big black ear Charlie. He sent me the nicest message the other day. Charlie just got adopted like 3 weeks ago. And he said, this is the most well-trained, calm dog, you know, oh, so obedient, so chill I've ever had. And I'm like, yeah, you didn't see him 5 months ago.
Yeah. He's a lot of dog, but he's such a sweetheart. He's just a big baby.
Yeah, but they're taking him already like off leash to dog beach. Like he's obedient. He comes back.
I'm not surprised. That dog is phenomenal. As long as you're like, he's a young boy.
He's a young boy. Yeah, but just a lot. And I'm sure that's why his people left his ass at the shelter, because it was too much without training, too much to handle. So that segues me into the next thing about our program. A lot of you may come because you saw a particular dog on Pet Finder, right? You weren't necessarily looking for my program, but you happened to stumble across it and you came for a particular dog. What I ask is that if you decide you're in love with our program and you want to adopt a dog from us at some point, or from me, I say us because it's the inmates, but it's me. It's me. If you want to adopt a dog from me, just be open-minded, because I know my dogs incredibly well. And with my level of dog guru-ness, I promise I'm going to make a really good match for you. I'm going to do my best because that's my job, right? It's been my job for 20 years and I'm really good at it. So like Charlie's people came looking for, they wanted Lev. And so they wanted a border collie and I sent them home with a pit bull, right? And I was like, look, I read your application. You came on the Zoom call. You're telling me this is what you want. So if you can get past the fact that he's a 70-pound pit bull with ears that stand up straight like a bat, I'm telling you, this is the dog that you need for your life. So you can have a really good life with this dog and he'll be everything you want. So, so Elise and myself and the other trainers too, we're very good at matching, and we want to do that for you because we've spent our careers trying to undo mismatches. That's the reality. That's the reality of a professional dog trainer. Okay. We deal with people who adopt a dog from a shelter and it is just like so wrong because they picked the dog based on color or coat type or some other factor that was not actually relevant to long-term success. Okay. All right. So I'll give you a little bit more information and then I will tell you about the dogs and I'll open the floor to any specific questions you have. So what is the process? Okay. After tonight's Zoom call, if you decide that we are the ones for you and you would like to adopt any of our dogs, this goes one or two ways. Right now, we're not actually like in a formal adoption cycle. That won't be again until probably like right around Christmas or maybe New Year, because the holidays get crazy for people. Okay. And what I mean by that is when we graduate a large number of dogs, like this week, we have 10 new dogs moving into the institutions. Okay. So we will graduate all the new dogs probably end of the year, beginning of the year. And then we'll have an adoption event where if you adopt a dog at that point, you'll actually be allowed to get security clearance and come to the prison and work one-on-one with your dog's trainer. Okay. But right now we're in between cycles. So we can't do that because we don't have a big enough group to do that. So with the dogs I still have available, which I'm going to tell you about tonight, the process is a little different. So what we would do is we could chat via text after this call. Okay. I could answer more questions about any dog that you learned about tonight that you want to consider adopting. And then I would allow you to take that dog out on a foster to adopt basis. So the pro of waiting till like an actual adoption cycle is that you get to work hands-on with your dog's trainer. Okay. The advantage of doing it off cycle, however, is that you get to try the dog for a week. Because if you adopt in an actual adoption cycle, which is more for my guys than it is for you, okay, that's the honest truth. I do it for them because it's very validating for them to get to meet the adopters. You don't get to try your dog. You have to trust me blindly that is it. And again, I make really freaking good matches. So I promise you, like, I will do my best. So don't be scared of that fact. But what would happen in an adoption cycle is people would pay their fee, which is $350. They would know that's the dog they're getting. And then we would finalize the contract the day you guys come to the prison, probably again in early January. And then you'd take your dog home with you that day and have a nice life. Okay. But off cycle, like we are right now, if any of the dogs we have right now that are still available, I should say that instead of leftover, right? Still available. You can take them out on a foster to adopt trial for 1 week. Make sure they're a great fit. Okay. They're still available because I don't have any interest on them. So I don't mind that happening. When we actually open up applications for the new set of dogs, we get flooded. And when that's the case, I don't have time to let people do trials. If they want that dog, you get that dog. That's how it's going to go, right? So right now you could take a dog out on foster to adopt, which means I would send you our link to all of our adopter documents. It's got like some FAQs you got to read about, reinforcing training now that you have the dog home with you, directions to the prisons, what to expect, things you need to buy, like your crate and your toys and your leash and your collar and all that good stuff beforehand, right? And then, you would say, hey, Dee, like I'm off work next Tuesday. Can I go get Rico? And I'd say, sure. And you would drive out to the prison and you would pick up your dog. Okay. So you would never see me. This is the only time you get to see me here on Zoom. Okay. So you drive out to the prison. Hi. You'd pick up your dog. The guards will probably be assholes because that's how they are. Sorry. Elise is laughing, but it's true. So you have to put up with that. Sorry. But they will be expecting you. And then you take your dog home. And then I would assume that no news is good news. Okay. And then in a week, you'll get a text from me and I'll say, so is this forever or what's up? And then at that point you could say, Dee, it's just not the perfect fit. So we're going to bring the dog back and we'd like to try a different dog. Okay, great. That's fine with me too. Dee, we've decided we don't like this dog. It's not our forever dog. We're going to go adopt a dog elsewhere. Okay, fine. That's fine. Because every time a dog goes out on a foster to adopt trial, that gives me more information about how the dog behaves in the home. So that's not lost time for me. Okay. Because there's a lot of things we do know about these dogs from living in the prison, but then there's things we don't know. How are they with cats? How are they with small kids? How are they with the sound of the dishwasher? Can't tell you. I have no idea. How are they when you leave them alone for the first time? I don't freaking know. They live in a room with 100 people on a compound with 400 to 1,000 men, depending on where they live. And there is always someone there. So I have no clue if your dog is going to lose its crap the first time you leave, or if it's going to be so chill, like, oh my God, finally silence, which sometimes some of them do that. And they don't have air conditioning at the prison, by the way. So some of them are so happy to be in AC that they're like, I'm good. Like, see you later. Whoops, where'd I go? I hit a wrong button. There we are. I'm back. Okay. It told me I have 9 minutes left and then it's going to kick us out. So I don't know the answer to that. You guys are going to have to take that leap of faith and discover all of those little nuances of dogs living in a home, but it's going to help you a lot. The fact that these dogs have a lot of training. Okay. But I can't tell you how that dog's going to behave in your house. I don't have that information. I know how it was in the shelter. I know how it is in the prison. But I do know things like, will the dog resource guard its food? Will the dog guard a bone? Is the dog touch sensitive on its feet? Does it like to be bathed? Does it mind loud noises? Is it afraid of thunder? Like those kind of things I know. But please don't text me later and be like, so do you think he'd be fine with my, my guinea pig? I'm like, I don't have a guinea pig at this time. Like, don't ask those questions. Like I will take you off my list so fast for not paying attention. Do not ask those questions, please. And then I'll say at the end of the week, okay, it's forever. I'll send you the contract. I'll send you the link to pay your adoption fee, and you have your forever buddy. And that's pretty much it. I'm pretty easygoing. We do not do a home check. If you say that your landlord's cool with having a dog, I trust you. I'm not going to call him. I'm in the business of trying to get as many of these dogs into homes as possible. And I am not trying to make it difficult to make that happen. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. If it doesn't work out, I'm not going to shame you either. You just got to give me my dog back. That's all I ask. Give me the courtesy of please giving me back that investment, because we put a lot of time into these dogs. Okay. So I always want right of first refusal if for some reason it does not work out. Elise, did I miss anything? She's like, nope. Okay. Before I talk about the actual dogs, and remember, when it kicks us out in 8 minutes, just jump back in. Before I talk about the actual dogs, do any of you have a question about the process?
Nope.
Oh,
Anybody?
that was
Nope.
thorough.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Awesome.
I run a business. You're welcome. By the way, can you tell I'm also not your typical dog rescue person? I am a sane, rational, business-oriented individual who wants to get dogs homes. Okay.
That might be freaking me out a little bit. Yeah.
I get that a lot.
Yeah.
And my husband's like, but you can't have a dog rescue. This is like years ago. He's like, only crazy ladies do that. I go, but the world would be a better place if like business people had dog rescues. Like business. Okay. Except they don't make any money. So, all right, let me pull up my list real quick. Let's see if I can do like a split screen here so that I know what's going on. Whoops, that's wrong. I just opened something else. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm just getting my split screen open so I can actually see what dogs are on my list. Oh my gosh, what are you doing to me? Hold. Am I crazy? Tile window to the left of screen. Yes. Click on this window. Yes. Okay, good. All right. Let's see here. Magic City Canine. Okay. And then FYI, so I mentioned we have like 10 new dogs moving in this week. So aside from the fact that I think they're freaking awesome because clearly we selected them in the first place, I don't really know much about them. I know I like them a lot. I think they have a lot of good potential. I think they're beautiful. I can't wait to see how they develop, but I can't really answer any questions yet about those dogs because I don't know them. So we won't be posting any information about the new dogs probably until like end of November or like early December, once they've been in training for at least like 6 weeks and we kind of get an idea of who they really are. But I will tell you that all the new dogs coming in, I have all pit bulls and all pit bull mixes and 1 hound. So there's no shepherds coming in this next group, no border collies coming in this next group. So far we're all pretty pitties. And I got a lot of white, like white and gray, white and brown, white and brindle. That's my favorite. Okay. So I have Miss Nala, who I already kind of briefly told you guys about. She is going to be great for an active home. She also has an incredible off switch. She cannot live with a cat. She cannot live with small dogs because she's got a lot of prey drive, but she is very intelligent, loves to work, loves to train, very handler focused. And Elise, you can take yourself off mute if you want to say anything about Nala, just since you know her too. Elise is trying.
She's so good when you do heel with her. She's like, yes, whatever you want. I love you. She's such a cuddly dog. Like I love
She's so
her.
sweet.
She's
Yeah.
super sweet.
She's a sweet mama. Yeah. But I need someone that has like bully experience because she is She is the pit bull
Alarm girl.
stereotype. She's, you know, she needs an experienced owner because I would never put her with a first-time dog owner. Like, she needs someone who understands the breed, understands how they ramp up, and understands how to de-escalate that dog when you start to see her getting too amped up. Because that's
She's
the
sweet
problem.
and sassy.
Yeah, she's sweet and sassy. Okay, and then I have Jenny. Jenny, and if you guys simultaneously kind of go look at the pet finder list, that will help you as I'm talking about the dogs. Okay, so try to pull that up if you can while I'm talking about them. Actually, you know what I can do? I only have 4 minutes left. Let's do this. I'm gonna kick you all out of the meeting right now. And then I want you to all come back in right now. And then that way our timer resets, and I'll screen share so you can see all the dogs as I'm talking about them. How's that? Okay, come right back. Come right back.